this is a different type of graph right here. Now, notice the arrowheads at the ends of these graphs. You know what that means? They go on forever, right? Good. Let's talk about the domain. Yeah, exactly right. Left edge, X is in the middle, right edge. Okay, so let's talk about where the left edge is of this graph. Where does this graph stop on the left side? Yeah, you're right. It doesn't stop. This goes on forever. It goes on forever to the left and forever down. So, if I was talking about the end of this graph on the left-hand side, we will call it negative infinity. Exactly right. It's going all the way to infinity, but in the negative direction. Yeah, so isn't the right side doing the same thing over there on the right side? How far does it go to the right? Yeah, that goes on forever to the right, but positive, so positive infinity. Now we have a special name for this. This graph goes on forever to the left and forever to the right. So if we're talking about what X values are represented here, we're talking all real numbers. Yes, exactly right. This graph goes on forever to the left and right, covering all of the X values. Yeah, it doesn't do that for the Y though. So let's talk about the range. Yeah, remember the range goes from the bottom to the top. So from the floor to the ceiling. Where's the floor of this graph? Where's the bottom of this graph? Is there one? That graph goes down forever. Yeah. Good. Down to negative infinity. Now, does that graph have a ceiling? Yeah, that graph has a ceiling. What Y value is the ceiling of that graph? 4, exactly right. Now, when we have a mix-up like this, where there's infinity on one side and a number on the other, we can get rid of half of this. Just like that. Yeah, erase the infinity part. And now look what this says. My entire graph, every Y value on this graph is less than or equal to 4. Yeah, that graph is, the entire graph is below that Y value of 4. Yeah, let's try another one. Okay, good. Now, we know this is not a function because it fails that vertical line test that we talked about, but let's talk domain and range anyway. Okay, remember the domain is set up like this. Left edge to right edge. What's the left edge of this graph? Yes, -5. The left edge of this graph is -5. What about the right edge? How far does it go to the right? Exactly right. On forever. It goes on to infinity. Now remember, when we have a number and an infinity, we can erase the infinity side like this. Good. And now usually our inequalities are written with X first, so we can flip this whole thing around just like this. Yeah, I flipped the sign and the X and the -5. Now, let's talk about what this means. My entire graph is greater than or equal to -5. Every X value in this graph is greater than -5. The entire graph is greater, bigger on that side of -5. Yeah, let's talk about the range. Where's the bottom of this graph? This graph goes down how far? Good, down to negative infinity, of course. And that means that the bottom is going to negative infinity and the top got that same arrows and the top going to positive infinity. Now remember, when we got two infinities, if it's going down forever and up forever, that is all real numbers. Good. Let's try one more. Ooh, we getting fancy now. We getting fancier and fancier. Okay, so let's talk about the domain. Where is the left edge of this graph? I'm gonna put the left edge right here. This arrow is going down and it's going left. Is there a left edge? Nope, it's going out forever. Good. So let's talk about the right edge. Is the right edge doing the same thing? That arrow is going up and it's going right. So is it going, how far is it going to the right because we're domain X's? Yeah, remember what that's called? Good. So let's talk about the bottom of this graph now. This arrow right here is going down forever. Is there a bottom here? I don't think so. I mean, there might be a bottom, but it's way down at negative infinity. Now let's talk about the top of this graph. Where's the ceiling of this graph? Notice the hump, and the hump happens at 4, but is that hump the highest part of this graph? Look at that arrow and how far it's going up. So even after the hump, it goes, yup. Of course that means, yeah, buddy, all real numbers for both. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Man, I hope this helps. I'm going to check you out next time. I think we talk about evaluating next. I'll see you there. Bye, guys.